Hey, what's going on, everybody? A Way Out devotional. Sorry I haven't put one out there in a while, but this life's been kind of busy right now. But I'm doing a series on the life of David. And so we're just trying to see what we can glean from and learn from the attributes and characteristics of David. And so in this one, I would title this one, When We Are Afraid. If you're first now checking this out, listen, go to Spotify and check out A Way Out Ministry. On there, I have daily podcast, devotionals, and sermons that I put out there, well over 350, so that you can have something to listen to daily throughout your week. And so I title this one, When We Are Afraid. See, the thing about it is, when you are afraid or when you're carrying fear around or anything like that, if we're not careful, we make rash decisions doing things that we probably should have not done. David is doing that right now in Samuel chapter 21, 1 Samuel 21. He's running from his life because he's scared because Saul is after him. And so he first runs in the last Devo we talked about. He first ran to Nob, and it was there that he lied to the priest. He ran to the house of God, and he lied to the priest. And as he lied to the priest, God reminded him and showed David that I see you, I love you, I got great things for you. And in our life as well, as we're going through this journey, whether we're fearful, whether we're making wrong decisions, whatever the case may be, that God will send subtle hints to us to remind us that he loves us, he sees us, and he's got good for us. And so David is continually running at this point in time. And now we're in 1 Samuel, still in chapter 21, starting in verse 10. It says, Then David arose and fled that day from before Saul and went to Achish, the king of Gath. So David now runs to the town of Gath. Why is that important? Because Gath is a town that's in the Philistine country. The Philistine country, matter of fact, Gath is the town that Goliath is from. And so now David, in his fear, him being afraid, him running for his life, the rash decision that he does is he runs back to the enemy's camp. Now, he doesn't run to the enemy's camp to go and take over the enemy. No, he runs back to the enemy's camp to try to find refuge, to try to find shelter, to try to find safety. And if we're not careful, we, at the same time as well, run back to the world to try to find things that will give us peace or things that will give us, joy or whatever the case may be. Quit running to the world and run back to God. And so anyways, he runs there, and it says, is this not David, the king of the land, where everyone's saying Saul has killed his thousands, but David has killed his tens of thousands? Verse 12. Now David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of the king there at Gath. And so here he is. I don't know the exact illustration of what took place, but I heard that they threw him in some type of captivity at this point in time. And it was while he was being held in captivity during this moment that he wrote a psalm. And see, man, throughout David's life, he writes all types of psalms, and he's writing these psalms in the midst of whatever situation he's going through. That's why they're heartfelt. That's why there's a lot of emotion behind it. That's why we can relate to the psalms, because David himself was in situations like we get in. And so while he was in captivity at the town of Gath in Philistine country, he wrote Psalms 56. And so I'll talk about it. Let me talk about verse 1 real quick. He says, Be merciful to me, O God, for man would swallow me up. Fighting all day, he oppresses me. I love that part, because at the very beginning of this psalm, the very beginning of this prayer, what does David say? David says, have mercy on me, O God. Why? Because David knows that he deserves, that he needs mercy right now. What is mercy? Getting what you don't deserve, or not getting what you deserve. So David deserved, he was just lying to the priest, and he was running. He was doing all these things. And so he probably deserved not great things because of some of his actions. So now he's talking to God. He's saying, listen, I understand I probably don't deserve this, but God, give me mercy. God, help me. And maybe you're in that place. You're running and you're afraid, and you feel like you're afraid because you made some decisions that you know probably wasn't the best. You may not speak it out and tell people, but deep down within you, you're like, man, I know I shouldn't have done that. Oh man, I made the wrong decision. Cry out to God and say, God, have mercy on me. God, I am sorry. God, I shouldn't have done that. And he starts it out by saying, be merciful me, oh God, that the enemy is after me. He's running. Verse 3, whenever I am afraid, not if, but when, because there's times that you're going to be afraid. Here is David, a man after God's own heart, a mighty warrior. Guess what? He was afraid at times. And you are too. You will be at times, man. And but not only was he afraid, he also had faith. And you can have fear and faith at the same time. Faith is having courage in the midst of fear. And that's what he did. He said, whenever I'm afraid, I will trust in you. In God, I will praise his word. In God, I put my trust. I will not fear what can flesh do to me. And he talks about that. He's now placing his hope in Christ. He's now placing his hope in his Father, saying, help me. My trust is in you. The enemy is after me, but I know that you did not bring me this far to let me go. I know that you got good for me. And he holds on to the words that he has from God. And he keeps on going. I love verse 8 right here. He says, you have numbered my days, or you have numbered my wanderings. In other words, like, you know all that's going on in my life. He says this. He says, you have put all my tears in your bottle. See, that's a beautiful thing, because as you're going through stuff, as you're going through hardships, it can feel like you're going through it all by yourself, that nobody sees you, and you're carrying all this stuff on your own. You've shed tears that nobody else knows about, but God says those tears that you have shed, I've placed them in a bottle. I look at it like this. He's placed the tears of your pain from yesterday's sorrow in a bottle so that you can use it for the hope for somebody's healing tomorrow. What do I mean by that? You've went through some hardships and you've cried some tears, but God has shown mercy on you and has comforted you in those times. And in those times, he has bottled those tears up, because you can use that same comfort that you received from God, as Corinthians talks about, and can comfort those who need it the most. And so that's the thing about it. David is in this spot and he feels all alone, but he knows that God sees him. He's like, God, you've seen my tears. God, you know where I'm at. God, I need you now more than ever. And then let me jump down, verse 9. When I cry out to you, then my enemies will turn back. This I know, because God is for me. Man, the world and the enemy will try to say God ain't for you. Oh, come on. If God was real and if God was for you, all this stuff wouldn't be happening to you. You wouldn't be having to run for your life. You got to understand, David didn't do anything wrong to Saul. He was just doing he was just being obedient. And Saul got jealous and started attacking him and came after him. And he says, but he held on to this word. He said, but God, you are good. And God, you are for me. In God, I will praise his word. In the Lord, I will praise his word. In God, I have put my trust. I've put my trust in God. He says, I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? And there we go. We learned from David today. When we are afraid, not if, because we're going through times of our life where we're afraid, where we're questioning, where we're wondering. And just like David, he ran. He made some rash decisions at first, and he realized he shouldn't have made those decisions. He shouldn't have ran back to the Philistines. He shouldn't have ran back to the enemy's camp. He shouldn't have tried to seek refuge in the enemy's camp like some of us do sometimes when we're running back to the world to try to seek peace or refuge or safety. And he said, God, have mercy on me. God, I'm sorry for what I've done. God, help me. God, I put my trust in you. God, you be for me, and what can man do against me? And that's the hope that you have right now, that he sees you, that he loves you. And when you're afraid, I'll promise you, call out to God and he'll meet you right where you're at. Listen, walk with us as we go through the life of David. Y'all have a great day. God bless.